Hello, this is a video that's going to discuss the types of slope and graphing lines using slope-intercept form. So the start of your notes for this lesson, we talked about the different types of slope. There's a positive, negative, this is kind of a review from last class, zero slope, and then undefined. So those are kind of your four different types of slopes. Now when you're graphing, as long as the y is by itself, you can graph in what's called slope-intercept form. And this means that we can actually plot points without having to create a table and then connect them to make a line. So for the first part, the y is just our dependent variable. Our m is our slope. I guess I can just write slope. There we go. The m is the slope. And the way that we talk about the sloper is rise over run. So if the numerator is positive, we're going to go up. If it's negative, we go down. The denominator, if it's positive, we go to the right. If it's negative, we go to the left. Our x is our independent variable. And this whole part here is your y-intercept. So that's actually where we're going to start. Each one is on the y-axis. Okay, so we'll do a couple, we'll fill in the examples that we did in class. We're going to start at 2. So you're always going to start there. It's going to be on the y-axis. And then we're going to use the number connected to the x to go up and over. So we're going to go up 3, over 1, up 3, and then we're going to move to the right 1 because it's positive. We can also use 3 over 1 is the same thing as negative 3 over negative 1. So we can go down 3 and left 1, down 3, left 1. Once you get a couple points on there, you can connect them to make a line. And it is a puff positive, so our line is increasing. It's kind of steep. It's got a slope of 3, so it's a decent amount of steepness. Okay, so for the second one, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to start at the 5 on the y-axis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then our slope, we don't have to write it as a fraction because it's already a fraction. So we're going to go up 1 and to the right 2. So up 1 to the right 2, up 1 to the right 2. We can go backwards to down and left. And it's going to give us that line there. Okay. Now what about if it's negative and there's no y-intercept? So if there isn't any, we could add one. We're just talking about starting at 0. So I'm going to put my first order pair there. And then I'm going to go, because it's negative, I'm going to go down and to the right. So I'm going to go down 2 and to the right 1, down 2 to the right 1, down 2 to the right 1. You can also go up and left, and you get that line there, or like something similar. It's a little messy. Okay, a few more. So this one, we're going to start at negative 1, but there's no slope, but we know any number in front of the x is always going to be 1, so we're going to go up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, and you're going to get that nice little line there. There are some special cases, and that would be if your x is just a number. So x is equal to 3 just means that all of my x's are 3. So if I had like 3, 1, that's here, 3, 2 is here. It's going to make this nice vertical line. So if it's just a number, you're actually just going to create a line where all of your x's are 3. The same thing with this one here. We're going to create a line where all of my y's are negative 2. So it's going to kind of flat line on negative 2. So 1, negative 2, 2, negative 2, 3, negative 2. It's going to be every point that's on this line. A helpful way to remember these kind of special examples is an acronym HOIVUX, and the HOI stands for horizontal, zero slope, and then y equals, and the VUX is vertical, undefined slope, and x equals. So that's kind of a helpful little acronym. Now sometimes, I'm going to scroll through all this, there we go. Sometimes when you are trying to isolate your variable, and graph, it's not, the y is not isolated. So in those times, we actually have to solve for y first. So for this problem here, we need to first, before we can determine what the slope and the y-intercept are, we have to put it in y equals. So I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides. And this is kind of going back to the previous unit when we solved for variables, literal equations. And then we would divide everything by -2. And so that was going to give us y equals 2x plus 5. Now we're able to identify, oh, the slope is 2, the y-intercept is 5. And then for the next part, we're going to get y by itself. So we're going to subtract 3x on both sides. And then I'm going to divide everything by 4. So I get 3/4 x, whoops, plus 4. So your slope is the -3/4, and then the y-intercept is just a +4. Okay, thanks for watching. Hopefully it was helpful. Have a great one.